Hey, Art of Likability family. This week's episode is brought to you by the good folks over at FreshBooks Accounting. They completely updated their software to make it really super simple. So if you need to send out invoices, get paid online, and keep track of your expenses really simply, they got you covered. Go to freshbooks.com/Arel. They're going to have a little section that says, "How did you hear about us?" Make sure to put the Art of Likability podcast and get a 30-day free trial. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Welcome to the Art of Likability, ranked one of the top podcasts in the world. In this podcast, you'll discover how to leverage likability to build stronger relationships, lead more efficiently, close more sales, and keep customers happy while increasing success in your professional and personal life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moody.
What's going on, Art of Likability family? Arel Moody here, your host of the Art of Likability podcast. Welcome back. 2018 is when we're recording this. Hopefully you're listening to this now, or maybe in the future. I don't know, whenever you listen to this, but it's amazing. We're already into February of this year. It's actually incredible if you think about how fast time is flying by. And I always sit down and I think about this podcast and I think about, we've been doing this for about 4 years now. And it's just really exciting. It's really exciting to do just a bunch of great content to give people almost like as close as you can get to a utility belt, like of social skills. Like if you were the Batman of social skills, this podcast would be your utility belt. So feel free to keep using the batarangs, which is a Batman boomerang for those who don't know. But I wanted to cover an interesting topic. It's a really great way to It works really well for like dating websites, but it also works well for social settings. It's like, how do you crack the ice? How do you start a conversation? So online dating, and I'll tell you exactly how this works. This how I used it recently. It's really applicable in so many cases, but if you want to use it for dating, totally good. And by the way, just as a side note, before I go into the actual content here, I was just curious if any of you are interested in dating content, because I have a ton of how you can use the Art of Likability stuff to get dates ethically. Nothing sleazy or like that's going to be like make someone feel bad so they like you. Nothing like that, but just like how to approach people, whether it's online or in person. And I've never really done much about dating content. I've just kind of felt like, I'll stay away from it because it has a negative connotation. But I was like, man, I got a lot of content on it. And if this would be useful for people, like, hey, listen, I'd love to get people love connected. If I get some people married in my life, I feel pretty good about it. I just scared some of y'all because I said married and I'm talking about dating. But just what I'm saying, getting people together is a great thing. So anyway, if you're interested in this, shoot me a message, email info@artoflikability.com. Shoot me a tweet and say, yo, dude, totally do stuff on dating. If I don't hear from you, I'm not going to do stuff on dating. If you're like, yo, I actually am interested in it, I'll put some stuff together for you. So anywho, let's talk about how to break the ice. So, and if you haven't done a 5-star review yet, go ahead and do that. All right, let's get jumping. Come on, dude, give me that 5-star review, people. You're going to if you like this episode, if this helps you, definitely do the 5-star review. Okay, so here's how it works. You address the social uncomfortability of a scenario up front, and you turn it into a question that actually gets people going. I'll give you a perfect example. I was sitting down to have lunch with a group of people at a speaking event that I was doing. It's about 4 or 5 people. I didn't really know them too well. I kind of sort of knew some of them, but not everyone. So there was this kind of social awkwardness of it. So I kind of sat down and said, it's always interesting. Whenever I sit down to eat lunch with a group of people, I never know what's the first thing to talk about. Do you go into the weather? Do you go into the sports? If you're on one side of the table, I'm on the other side of the table. Can I talk to you? How do you guys handle that? And it's amazing how that either gets a chuckle or gets people conversing about, well, I like to use this, or I like to talk about this, and then it actually gets the conversation going. So you help kick it off. So if you can address the social awkwardness of a situation and put it into words, it actually works really well at actually starting a conversation. Sometimes when I'm in an elevator and it's a long elevator ride, I might be like, I never know what to do in an elevator. I'll just say it out loud. Like, I mean, do I look at you guys? Do I talk to you? Do I say nothing? I never know what to do. And then people usually will laugh because they feel the exact same way. You know, if say you're on a dating website, right? So let's say you're trying to approach someone on a dating site and you're like, man, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say hi with a smiley face, or I don't know what to say. You can just literally say a message like, hey, so this is the hardest part of starting any conversation. Obviously, I don't know much about you. I'm just seeing a description and a picture, but I like your vibe and I wanted to reach out and I'm trying to think of something witty to say, but I got nothing witty to say. I'm trying to think of what's the best way to say hello to you with letting you know I'm a cool person, interested, but I don't want to play my cards too much, but I want to say hello. Not sure how to do it. What do you suggest is a good way to say hello? Smiley face. Now, the smiley face is an important thing. It's kind of an emoticon that kind of lets people know you're not taking yourself too seriously. And it's a joke because there's no tonality in messages. But you're basically addressing, like you're trying to figure out how to say something and you don't know how to say it. So if you want, I would encourage you to listen to this podcast actually over and over and just script that out. You can look in the show notes. We'll put the script for what I just said in there, so you can just copy paste it and just go free willy with it. You know, but just address the social awkwardness of any setting verbally to opening up the conversation about it, and then it's actually pretty effective. You know, so you know, for example, for any of you who are like, oh man, it's tax time, I might say something like, hey, how do I tell you about our super awesome partner who makes this podcast available this week, freshbooks.com? What's the best way for me to tell you about their really cool software that allows you to keep track of your expenses if you're freaking out about tax time right now because you haven't done your taxes properly? Maybe you need to keep track of your receipts. You got a side hustle going on, or you're a creative, or you're an entrepreneur. It's a really great system. You just take pictures on your smartphone app. It organizes all of your documents. You can send invoices to get paid. It's like click, click, bang, boom. So I want to tell you about it. It's really cool. It's saving people hundreds of hours a week. What's the best way for me to tell you about that in my podcast? And what's the best way for me to tell you to go to freshbooks.com/Arel and get a 30-day free trial? And just make sure when they say, how'd you hear about it, say Art of Likability podcast. That's an example of how I would tell something. You just bring it up and say, and then you turn it into a question. What's the best way for me to do it? Now, what you'll tend to find is when you ask people, hey, what's the best way for me to do this? Or how do you deal with it? By addressing that social awkwardness and turning it into a question, it turns into a leverage point. It turns into something you can talk about. So again, let's think about some more scenarios. Let's say you're walking into a cocktail hour. I'm making this up, right? Networking event. So you walk up to someone, you say, hey, how are you? They go, hello. And it's like, man, I never know how to start a conversation at one of these events. Like, do we talk about the weather? Do we talk about the sports? Do we talk about why we're here? Like, I'm always trying to figure out what's the best way to start a conversation with people I don't know. What do you do to get a conversation started? And then that person would be like, oh man, I feel the same way. I don't know what to say. I'm over here just for the free shrimp cocktail or the free vegetable medley or whatever it is. And you just chat, oh yeah, that's kind of fun. And now it becomes kind of a leverage point. You go, hey, what's your name? My name's Arel. What's yours? Oh, why are you here? Okay. But it's more comfortable. So just think of different scenarios where you feel uncomfortable, like you don't know what to say to someone. Doesn't work. So let's say like you're a guy and you want to respectfully approach a young lady at the park. Let's say she's reading a book and you're like, man, that's the girl I want to say hello to and I want to do it respectfully. You literally can just like walk up to her and say, hi, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I would love to say hello to you and start a conversation with you, but I see you reading your book there and I don't want to interrupt you reading the book, but I do want to find something witty to say hello. So if you were to give me some advice on the best way to say hello to you right now, what would be the best way to do it without seeming like I'm weird? And at that point, you'll either say, don't say hello to me, and then walk on. You just got curved. That's what they call it in the streets. You got curved. I mean, she ain't interested. Accept it. Move on with your life. Okay. Or she'll laugh and maybe she'll giggle, or she'll say, oh, well, just say hello. Or she'll say, oh man, I'm really interested into this book right now. I really don't want to be interrupted. Again, respect it, move on, tons of efficiency. But typically, if the person is interested, it'll be like, oh, just say hello. And then if they have a book, the book's the easiest way to start, chatting with them. You just say, hey, well, what's the book about? I've heard about it, or I've not heard about it. Is it interesting? What made you pick it up? How far are you into it? And then you can create a conversation about the book, be respectful, look for social cues. She ain't interested, move on. If you're a young lady and you want to talk to a guy, right? And by the way, this works for any gender. If you're whatever gender is the gender you are, whatever gender you're going after, it works just the same, right? So I can use 1,000 different scenarios, but I'll just use these kind of simple ones here of now a girl talking to a guy. So let's say you're a girl, you want to go talk to a guy, right? So you want to say, oh man, I want to ask the guy out, but I don't want to seem too needy. You can just walk up and say, hey, what's the most uncomfortable thing to do? For a young lady to ask out a guy and I have no idea what to say. So I think you're kind of cool and I'd love to ask you out, but I don't know what's the best way to do it to make it seem like I'm interested, but I don't want to seem too needy, but I still want to show you that I have a level of you have to chase me, but I generally just want to go hang out with you. What's the best way for me to approach this situation with you? And then, see how they respond. Like it just, you just address the social awkwardness of the situation and then pose it as a question. It's really, really effective because as humans, we all can get it. We all can relate to it. So someone who goes, oh man, that's funny, blah, 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 you do this, do that. They might actually give you coaching like, hey, do this, do that. This is a good way to say hello. And then like, oh man, thank you for the feedback. And then you could even make a joke out of it. Like, let's say you walk up to someone like, man, I'd love to, start a conversation with you. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it without sounding weird. What's the best way to say it? And they could go on and jokingly say, oh, maybe the best way you can do it is come in and talk to me about Bitcoin, right? Let's just say that. So you go, all right, that sounds like a plan. So then you leave, take 3 steps and then turn around and go, have you invested in Bitcoin lately? And then it would be a very, very funny kind of tension breaking moment. And then you can just start having a normal conversation. And we have a really cool course, by the way. If you haven't checked it out yet, if you go to artoflikability.com, you can check out our course on how to start and keep a conversation going with anybody. So it's brand new. We just released it and it's pretty cool. I want you to check it out. It's real simple, real straightforward. It allows you to have all of the mechanisms you need to start and keep a conversation going with anyone, whether you have something in common with them or not. It's really cool. It's all laid out. Pretty dope. Check it out, y'all. So go to artoflikability.com to check that out. And try this strategy out. It's really effective. I mean, honestly, it's just super effective. So if you're going into any scenario, just ask yourself, what do I feel socially awkward about? And then turn that into the opening in the question. Man, when I'm at these meetings, I never know what to say. I never know how to talk to everyone in the room. I feel like I only talk to 3 people and I don't meet anyone new. What's your advice on how to meet someone new in a situation like that? You're saying that to a stranger. Boom! Works like a charm. So give it a shot. Hope it works for you. Because honestly, if you really want to start conversations with people, this is a really great strategy. It's simple, it's easy, it's effective, it works. And now you got this added to utility belt. So use it wisely, my friend. And remember, this information is not going to impact your life in any way. Saying like, ooh, that's a cool idea, but not trying it, not using it, you're not going to see the real benefit of it. And I want you to listen to this podcast, not just for entertainment. Hopefully you get entertained a little bit, but I want you to listen to it because I want it to make a difference in your life. I genuinely care about people learning how to connect better with people, how to build real, meaningful relationships. And it's just so important. So I hope that you apply this information because you'll find the implementation of this information absolutely change your life. And I want that for you. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. So make sure to leave a review. If you like this one, let me know. If you want me to do a little bit more stuff on dating, hit me up at Arel Moody on Facebook, ARELMOODIE. That's ARELMOODIE, all one word. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I'm all there. So let me know what you think. Send an email to info@artoflikability.com. You can also go to our website, by the way. And if you have any suggestions for shows that you'd like us to do, go ahead and do that. And if you've not done so yet, if you need one more call to action, I got to give it to you. Go to artoflikability.com/survey to let us know more about what you want to hear. I want to build content around our listeners and what you care about. So you can go to that survey to tell us more about you. You can go to our website, email us. I'd love to hear from you. It makes my day. And if you leave a 5-star review and say some great words, I love reading those too if this information is helping you. So that's it for today. Go out and do it. I believe in you. Sending you a big old high five. You are awesome. Psh.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, The Art of Likability, and reach out with any questions you have. Until next time, remember, my friend, you are awesome.